The Highway. Post Office Road, Sydney Road, the Great Southern Road, the Hume Highway, the Hume Freeway. The road was originally formed by the early overlanders in 1836, following water and easy travelling for the wagon drivers, horse-drawn traffic and drovers of the time. It ran through Thurgoona, Tabletop and Bownah for nearly a century, until it was diverted to avoid the rising waters of Lake Hume. Quote, "The road is the white man's most enduring landscape feature. About 1850 it was adapted as the boundary between Thurgoona Parish on the east and the Albury and Mungabarina parishes on the west. In this way, the road was also a boundary of land ownership. It formed one part of the boundary of Mrs. Elizabeth Mitchell's 1507 hectares, purchased from the Crown in 1857. Quote, "Having a main road passing through a community had its disadvantages. The Thurgoona correspondent of the Albury Banner remarked about, quote, several cases of horse stealing. A great many strangers are now passing through to various shearing operations," unquote. August 7th, 1875. Travelling stock were a nuisance to the school when they went into the reserve to get water from the creek. All landholders on the main road must have had to maintain fences to keep out travelling stock. The first motorcar passed through Thurgoona at the end of October 1901. It had taken 3 days to travel from Sydney. Horse-drawn traffic continued to be dominant for many years of the 20th century. In August 1933, the Albury City Council was warned that the old Hume Highway was about to be inundated at Bownah. On September the 4th, water was reported to be flowing 15 centimetres over the Bownah Bridge, and by evening 45 centimetres. The flooding of this route meant the end of Thurgoona's days on the busiest road in Australia. The new route to Sydney was now to follow the Wagga Road from Albury as far as Ettamogah, crossing and following the railway to about Tabletop, then easterly through the Tabletop deviation to rejoin the old Sydney Road at Plunkett's Road. Memories from Jeff Fraunfelder. Much work on the new road was done by manual labour. Large Leyland trucks were used to cart broken stone for the foundation of the road. This stone was railed to the Tabletop railway station, where it was shovelled into hoppers by men using large metal forks, like oversized garden forks. The children of Tabletop found they had a ready market for rabbits with the men and families living at the construction camp. During the period of construction, the population of Tabletop had quite a boost, school enrolment swelling to 20 pupils. Memories from Alan Madden. The Innes family lived in tents in the bottom paddock of Clayfield near the large dam close to the railway crossing. They also ran an eating house for the highway workers, constructed more or less of corrugated iron and hessian. The scullery was at one end and a 20 by 10 foot trestle placed down the middle of the room for meals. Many a good, hearty meal was served at this establishment to satisfy the needs of hungry, hard-working men. Construction of the highway was all done with pick and shovel, horses and drays carting the gravel, slow and laborious work. A letter from Tess, Mary and Ellen Timms. Our parents, Margaret and Matthew Timms, settled in Tabletop in 1925 on the old Sydney Road. There was always something happening along the highway. Tess remembers the tar carts with their agreeable smell of bitumen and the big-wheeled black machine which heated the tar from the large drums preparatory to spreading it on the highway. This marked the first sealing of the Hume Highway. A firm with a household name. One of the first chain store companies in Australia, O'Gilpin's, made good use of the highway. Specialising in importing cheap commodities, mostly from Japan, it was a boon to many families in the Depression years. The company's big truck was a familiar sight as they rolled interstate on the highway. With drovers in charge, sheep and lambs also travelled the highway, and also the byways in search of grass. Well-trained dogs responded to every inflection of the drover's whistle. With his four-wheeled van and a flock of sheep, a drover could be weeks, even months, on the road. Our parents continued to farm in the district until a severe drought in 1938 forced them to sell and take whatever sheep were left on the journey south to live in Gippsland. Sources: Howard C. Jones, A History of Thurgoona, published 1985, and Webb, Merrick L., Tabletop, A History of the District 1824 to 1984, compiled by the Tabletop History Committee to commemorate the school centenary in 1984. This piece read by John Walker.